Chundria, Chundria, it's Chundria Show.
Absolutely. So I want to talk to you today. I want to talk about advice for a particular group of people, people that are 30 plus, that have damaged credit, credit score maybe in the 400s, 500s, which is something that isn't uncommon for you. But what advice do you have for people out there that are really struggling to increase their credit scores? What advice, even little small tips that you could advise?
You know, I lived it, so the advice comes from my own life. I sold real estate in college, market crash, 2 years out of school, 2009, and I had no money. I could not pay my bills, okay? And so inevitably, credit score crashed. I was like 4 something. And the steps I took to improve my credit were literally just this simple. I contacted American Consumer Credit Counseling. This is a nonprofit service. I don't get $1 for your call.
Okay.
But they're a nonprofit service where they negotiate with your creditors, credit card companies, student loan companies. They negotiate with them to say, hey, you know, MJ got off track. How can we get him back on track? Can we reduce the interest rates? Can we change his minimum payments to reduce it to something he can afford? And they get you back on track. So I work with them. They set up payment arrangements with all my creditors, lowered the interest rates in some cases from like 14% to like 2 or 3%. And I was able literally to get all my debt paid off with them in probably less than 2 years.
Wow.
I recommend that. They're a nonprofit, and I recommend them. You know, it's so funny because we do credit restoration within National Care, and there's a fee for us. And certainly, you know, in working with a private company, you know, we work very aggressively and very fast, but not everyone can afford that fee. I get that. So anybody, you know, this sounds counterintuitive for a business person to say this, but anybody can go through American Consumer Credit Counseling, independent of how much funds they have. It's no real out-of-pocket cost to start the service, so it's kind of a no-brainer.
No-brainer, easy peasy to do and get your credit back on track. Even as low, and you speak from experience, even as low as 400.
It was in the pits. My credit score was in the pits, okay?
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. And then furthermore, I mean, in your 20s and 30s is a time when you're, you know, really at any age, but primarily then you're raising families, you want to purchase homes, then you're renting, you're paying high rent, you're paying high interest rates. It's kind of like a cycle that you really can't get out of because your credit's high, so you're getting higher interest rate, you're spending more money, which is less money that you have available to pay your debts down. So
Absolutely.
It's a vicious cycle. Well, I have advice for you to give to someone today, one of my viewers. Isaac says, Dear Chundria, my fiance is planning our spring 2018 wedding. I definitely want her to have whatever she wants, within reason. Originally, we agreed on 50 guests and a bridal party of 5 for a small, intimate ceremony. That number has quickly grown to 125 guests and a bridal party of 9. Granted, my fiance makes more income than I do, but I have expressed my concern about living comfortably after the wedding. We discussed starting a family right away and purchasing our first home within the first year of marriage. I understand she is caught up in the excitement of our special day, but as a leader of the household, I'm looking at the bigger picture. My recent attempts at discussing have fallen on deaf ears. Any advice?
I definitely feel for Isaac because that's a tough situation. You know, you got your fiance who you want to spend your life with and you want to make sure she's happy, but you know, you all have some very different paradigms around money. Here's my thing. I think that as someone, like I said, who knows what it means to overspend, who knows what it means to overspend to the point where I almost faced bankruptcy, what I can say is that one of the hardest things for me to do was to actually conceptualize what my spending looked like until I saw it on paper. So many people don't look at their credit reports, they're not looking at their bank statements, they just look at the balance, make sure they got enough money to buy what they're going to buy. But so what I would say to Isaac is, I would sit down with his fiance and write out on paper, babe, and make sure she don't feel like it's an intervention. Babe, I just want to kind of sit down and just kind of write out some of our expenses and what we're expecting. How much do we expect to have to put down on the house? How much do we expect for the first couple of years of childcare costs? How much do we expect for the wedding to cost? Put it all on paper. Okay, so we got this number here. Okay, that's about $50,000. And so for the wedding, see here, we're already at 32.
So seeing it in black and white.
Yeah, I don't know. What you think we should do? And put it in her hands to decide. Because the thing is, she doesn't want to not have sufficient resources to do these other goals. She just is not connecting the dots between these individual wedding choices and what it means for the future. So when you put it in front of folks, they would say, that's what I do with my own clients too. I would put it in front of them and I say, okay, well, this is how much you got for retirement. These are your expenses. So, what should we do?
What should we do?
And they can say, well, based on that, maybe I should cut back on this cost. And it helps.
Maybe I don't need 10 bridesmaids. Maybe I don't need to have it at this particular hall. It'll definitely. So talking, communicating would be your advice.
I would say collaborate. Don't tell her. So collaborate to figure out a plan. Don't tell her what she should be doing because she's not going to receive that. But if you collaborate with her to say, well, what can we do together and put it on paper, I guarantee you, she got sense. You wouldn't be married if she didn't have sense, and y'all going to figure out something great.
Exactly. Can you talk to me about love languages? I think a lot of people don't. It's a term you hear. Can you define love languages and tell me about each one?
Yeah, love languages are very important because when you go into a relationship, I start with self. If you don't know your own self, you know, your own love language, that will be, it'll just be a challenge for yourself to actually love on yourself. So you have physical touch and we have physical touch, acts of service, affirmations, and there's a book called The 5 Love Languages, which I always recommend for my clients. And when you know what your love language is, you can go ahead and tackle that on loving on yourself. Like, for instance, my friend's love language is gifts, giving gifts. And so for herself, whenever she has extra money, she'll buy gift cards for herself and just leave them in a drawer, so that she knows she might be feeling a little down or might be going through something. She's like, I'm going to give myself a gift.
And I'll take the gift
card.
Right?
Yes.
Reward herself.
Reward herself. Quality time is my love language. So the way that I love on myself is spa, ocean, going to the beach, taking time for my quiet time for myself. And when you learn your love language, you can start loving yourself a lot more. However, you will also be more attuned to someone else's love language because most of the time you get into a relationship and you end up loving on someone with your love language. You don't take the time to
figure out what their love language is.
Yeah, their love language might be acts of service, and here you are bringing them gifts, and they're like, I just want the.
And they're like, I want to help you, right?
Yeah. So when you are attuned to the love languages and how they show up in your life, you'll be more attuned to how they'll show up in a mate's life, or even friendships, or with your children or family members. So it's really important. Love languages are highly important.
And that's why I wanted you to expound on that because I feel like more people need to be in tune with what their own love language is and seek out what the love language of their partners or family members or what have you. I think it's important in the dynamic of relationship, and I'm glad you expanded on that for me today.
Yeah. My husband and I read the 5 love languages on our honeymoon.
Oh, and wow.
Discovered his are affirmations and mine's quality time. So if his is affirmations and I'm complaining about something I'm not getting, I'm literally removing money out of that bank account, that emotional bank account, and it's not only what are you putting in, but it's like, what are you you're withdrawing from the account. And so it's really important to know both deposits and withdrawals.
Now, your company mission is to guide your clients out of loneliness and depression about relationships and life's purpose into hope, power, and love. What are the most common challenges that you encounter from singles?
The most common challenges are that they do not want to change. I run into a lot of women who will tell me what they want. They want to be in a relationship, but then they hate dating. I've run into that. I would say, how do you feel?
I want to be married, but I don't want to go through the dating process.
I hear that so much. They hate dating. Or how do you feel when a guy, compliments you? Oh, it's so uncomfortable. And I'm thinking, how is that? They have to get in alignment. But truly, I would say probably the biggest right now that I'm running into is they do not know what they want. They do not know what they want.
And you have to help them figure out what they want so they can go out and find it.
You know what? I generally work with women who are on the track. Like they finally decided, I want something different. Because I cannot pull teeth, if they are not willing to go and give them up. So one of the things the very first thing I do is we always create vision. We always create vision. What do you want? And sometimes I have to drop clients and say, see your therapist, because I'm a coach. See your therapist, and then we can come back together.
Right.
When you know what you want, because I'm a master strategist and we'll help you get it.
Wow, you're awesome.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Wow. Many singles have a type that they prefer in an ideal mate. So how can you encourage someone to broaden their horizons?
I say when you make your list, when they make that list, they need to be willing to bring that list to the table. Okay. For themselves.
Oh, I see. What you're expecting from someone else, you need to be able to bring what you're expecting. Yes.
So when you are making your list, because usually women will just start and make that list. When you're making your list, you have to say, okay, well, what am I bringing to this potluck? Because it's a potluck. Like, what am I going to bring? But also knowing yourself, self-awareness gives you an opportunity to understand what is best for me.
What is best for me first. Self
what
first.
is best?
Like you always say self first.
Yes, because you have to understand, this would work for me. If, certain characteristics, say for instance, I'll use myself as an example. I'm the firecracker. And I have gotten with men who were alpha, but they were fighting to be alpha. And they would kind of crush my spirit. And for a man who I know who I am, I have to make sure I'm with a man who is comfortable in his skin, so that he can just let me fly. As of course I'm bringing respect and love and everything to him, but he can let me fly and he's not intimidated by me. So you have to understand
by your successes and all of that.
And a woman who might be a little more quiet might be wonderful to get with a guy who brings some things out in her. So understanding who you are can give you a better understanding of what you need.
It's like a real science to this, to choosing your mate. Like, it's so much more intricate than I like this person, I like the way they look. Like, you really have to analyze so many different parts.
Yeah, I encourage it just because I've made so many mistakes. So I made so many. Some people do it that way, and it works for them. That's their story.
Right.
But I have to say, if you're not where you want to be, or you don't have what you want, you have to do something different.
Yes.
And I just decided to do something different in my life with the type of men that I attracted and chose, and changing my belief system. And my objective is to help other people just see stuff differently. Take these amazing gifts and talents that you already have, and put them into getting the mate that you want.
Tell me about yourself and your business.
Sure. So I am, like you said, a motivational speaker. I'm also an author, but my primary business is as a marketing consultant. I work with solopreneurs, small business owners. I help them to prepare a marketing strategy and a profit plan before they fire their boss. So to help them transition, to make an easy transition from working in corporate to working full-time for themselves.
To avoid depression and anxiety.
Yes. You need a plan.
Okay. Okay, and tell me about your book, Unleash Your Inner Mogul. What prompted you to write that book as a marketing consultant?
Right, so I actually wrote this book as I was preparing to unleash my inner mogul. I was working in corporate, unhappy, miserable, and I just knew that there was more out there for me, more that I wanted to do. And so I was actually laid off from my corporate job, and instead of finding another job, I just decided that maybe this was my opportunity to go full force with my business. And that's exactly what I did. And so I felt like I had a lot of tips that I could share because I knew a lot of people were in the same position, feeling like there was so much more for them out there. And I felt that I could help them out by sharing how I did it.
Fantastic. Look at you. Now, like I say, every entrepreneur has dreams of working for themselves and being their own boss. In your opinion, why is entrepreneurship so important?
I'd say for a couple of reasons. Number one, because like I said, there are a lot of people that are out there that feel like they want to be entrepreneurs, but they're pretty unsure and they let fear hold them back. And so they stay in a position where they're unhappy pretty much for the rest of their lives because they're too afraid to go after what they
You're
want.
unhappy with the job,
Yes.
and you're too scared
You're
to take
too
on the
afraid to take
entrepreneurship.
the leap. And so it just keeps you in this place where you're stagnant. And who wants to live like that for the rest
Right.
of their lives?
Find
And
your
the-
happiness.
Yes. And the second reason is just because of the state of the economy right now. We know that everything is crazy. It's always a great idea to have a backup plan.
Yes. So, I mean, and if entrepreneurship is your first choice, then you're encouraging people all over the world to take that leap. and
Take
jump
the
into
leap
it.
of faith. You never know. They say it's best to not just leave this world with your gift stuck inside of you. So
Yes.
if you never pursue it, you never know what could happen.
Well, no, nothing beats a failure but a try.
Right.
Most businesses require startup capital for expenses in different areas. So what are some tips an entrepreneur should take before quickly leaving too hastily?
So even though my message is to transition from part-time to full-time entrepreneur, I always tell people, don't take the leap without planning first. Use your job to fund your business and to fund your passion first. Some people think that, you know what, I don't like my job, I'm just going to walk in the door.
Right.
Use that right now to fund your business.
But if you don't do that, then you end up basically hindering the success of your business, because now you have to find other ways to fund it, which slows you down.
Right. So if you use the income that you're bringing in from your job, you don't feel so much pressure when you take the leap. And the worst thing that you can do is get out there and you have no clients, no anything, and you're gonna run. You're gonna jump ship at the first sign of, oh my God, where's this next paycheck gonna come from?
And then you're gonna end up back applying for another job.
Applying for another job. And I'm gonna be honest, I have been there before, learned that the hard way.
Wow.
So definitely make sure that you have you're using your job, and also start bringing in those clients before you quit.
Wow. So in your business, you're literally sitting down with your clients to help them take their business from really start to finish.
From
Just
start to
helping.
finish.
You're like a coach. You're like the best friend who helps that person make money. I'm helping you put together a plan so you can profit from your business.
Exactly.
And I feel like because there's so many entrepreneurs all over the world, I think this is great advice. All right, Jason V in Atlanta, Georgia says, Dear Chundria, I'm a 25-year-old man and recent college grad with a new accounting degree. After 6 years of pursuing my degree, I'm strongly considering a new business startup because finding an entry-level accounting position has been a challenge in a major city. My family thinks the idea is absurd, and they have been very unsupportive since I made the announcement. And I value their opinion, but more importantly, I don't have anyone around who has actually started a business successfully. Is launching a business so close to graduation a great idea or not?
Always a great idea to actually have a backup plan. I think, he's in a great position. He's very young. He has a lot of time to figure out exactly what it is that he wants to do. So I would definitely say go for it, but just definitely make sure you have a solid plan, a solid profit plan, a solid marketing strategy.
Okay, so let's go back. Today we're talking about, cysts, fibroids, infertility. So how concerned, it's a very common thing. Cysts, fibroids are very common for women, especially African American women.
Absolutely.
So how concerned should women that are of childbearing age be when it comes to, myself, I have fibroids, but I'm at a point where they're really small. Doctors said there's really nothing I can do. They'll just go away on their own, but as a woman, I'm at 35, I would like to have children in the future. So how concerned should women like myself be who have fibroids?
Well, you should definitely be concerned because that can definitely cause a lot of problems for a female, and especially with the female flow, you see. And if you have a lot of tumors, you only have a couple remedies for that. That's on the invasive side,
Right.
which is surgery. You either do a laparoscopy surgery to see how many tumors you have, or you do a myomectomy to take out the tumors. What I recommend, since this pad has hit the market, is a cherish pad. The cherish pad.
Premium sanitary napkin.
Sanitary
okay.
napkin.
Specially infused with negative ions, nano silver, and far infrared. Describe
And
what that means.
what the negative ion does, it's just like we breathing oxygen, clean oxygen, like right now. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are not aware. Oxygen gives you what your body needs.
Right.
So for a female, with this pad, it has that strip in it. It's not bleached. It's 100% cotton. It's very, very soft.
Competitors are.
Absolutely,
Oh, wow.
absolutely. And it don't have the dye in it.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to open this for you so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And you can feel it. And you're female, you can tell the difference. So let's put this here and feel the difference between a natural pad and that pad.
Oh, wow. It's much softer.
Much softer.
Much softer, as you can see.
And this strip that's inside of it is the naked ion.
Oh.
This is like the breath that we breathe for the vagina.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So usually when a lady have a female flow, about 15 centimeters of flow, it absorbs this whole entire pad.
Right.
And what this pad does, it absorbs all the blood.
Into this space?
Into this space. It's a little space. But I tell you, when you see the demonstration, it amazes you. I mean, it's amazing.
Okay.
And it does not, you don't get the leakage outside the pad.
Outside of any of this
No,
area?
because it absorbs everything. And this pad neutralizes the vagina, oxygen inside the body, because it's like you inhale and exhale. Of course, your ovary, that dilates, you know. So when it dilates and contracts, oxygen goes inside the body.
So this is something that you recommend for all women or
I
women
do.
that have
No,
fertility
all
issues?
women.
Okay.
This is preventive stuff here.
Okay.
I mean, especially for ovarian and cervical cancer.
This would be preventative for
It
fibroids,
helps
cysts,
all
this
that,
helps?
even migraine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because of the negative
You
ion.
can take this, absolutely. You can take this strip out. If you have a migraine headache, you can put, just get a little damp, lay it across your temporal artery, and it absorbs through the skin, penetrates into your artery,
Oh, wow.
and take away the migraine.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm speechless.
I'm serious. This is, I tell you, I love all women. This is why I travel the world, raising awareness for cancer. Cancer, it takes a lot of our family members, friends, neighbors.
Absolutely.
So, you know, someone have to pick up the pieces and get out here and do what we need to do.
Market
and market this.
Spread the word,
you know?
raise awareness.
So this is like, this is a home remedy. The other regular pads, they have the little blue streak in it. It's dye.
Wow.
It's poison.
It's poison.
And the bleach, to get the pad white, it's bleached. It's not 100% cotton. So when your
and this
body
is all
contract,
natural. What kind of fabric? What is this part of
100% cotton.
Wow.
You know, this synthetic stuff right here. But it's, you know.
But this is tape.
This is tape on the edge of it. But this is key for fibroid.
Key for fibroids is changing up the pad. The
Absolutely.
pad is basically not helping the fibroids.
Not the ones
it's
over the counter.
enhancing them.
It's enhancing.
Okay. Awesome. Which, and then, you know, obviously this is a great natural remedy for fibroid cysts and obviously infertility. So then, you know, where we talked about there being so much on the market, is there anything else that women would need to do in association with this?
I would also
remedy
add to do this to keep those tumors away. Get oxygen drops. We even provide those. It's like an O2 oxygen drop. And what it does, you put about 15 drops up on your tongue every day, 3 times a day.
Oxygen drops?
Oxygen drop. We have
Wow.
the O2 drops.
O2
so
drops.
everything that I'm telling you today, I'm going to send you via email, and you
Okay.
can do your own research.
Okay.
You know,
Well, I believe you're the expert
listen,
here.
I'm here to tell you, I worked medicine all my life. I'm 56 years old.
Wow.
33 years ago, I started my medical career. I only had 2 jobs, self-employment. You know what I mean? So this is what I do, and when I go out and speak in seminars and workshops, especially to women. Cancer stole my mother from me. My sister had a bilateral mastectomy, and my oldest sister had lung cancer. So it's because of me, that medical person in the family, you know what I'm saying, to have to get out and embrace my family as well as my friends.
They
So-
served as your muse, and
Absolutely,
you're
absolutely.
passionate about this
Not
because
passionate
it's
about
affecting
it.
your family. And now you're reaching out to people all over the world.
All over the
so
world.
for people that don't live in Los Angeles, how can you order mail-order things
I do.
or supplies? Okay.
Absolutely.
And then drop your contact information. For
And I'm
anyone
gonna,
that-
absolutely, and I'm going to drop off my contact information, and I can get people a sample for free.
Okay.
They can, a trial deal, and I have to get that information too.
Okay.
To you too as well. But this is one of the best products for women.
I'm excited. And I'm excited that you're sharing this. This is really a gift for womankind.
Well, and I mean, and it's because a lot of women don't know. I have 3 beautiful daughters. I have a wife. I have a lot of female friends that I care about. And if this is something that I'm going to be able to educate them on to get them off that shelf purchase, this is going to be key.
Yes.
It's going to serve a key component to their life.
Commendable.
Absolutely.
Commendable. So not only are we fighting cysts, fibroids, and fertility, we're also fighting cancer as well.
Absolutely.
Events and promotions giant Tony Shelton talks tiny house living in Los Angeles.
I was watching that show, HGTV, Tiny Houses, for so long, and something just came over me and said, you know what, I want my own tiny house. And my kid's like, Mom, stop playing. And I just started calling around, doing a little research, looking at builders in different states, and I actually saw a show. I remember the builder's name, so I researched and I found him. Craft Houses, they built it for me. And he was in Alabama. And when I called him, I said, you know, can you build me a tiny house? He kind of chuckled because he didn't believe me. He was like, well, if you send some money, a deposit, you know, I can get started in about 6 months. I was so involved in the whole process from one piece of wood. I got everything he did was photograph, videotape. He didn't do anything without showing me first. And I'm not even in Alabama, I'm in Los Angeles. So before he did anything, he would send me the color choices. We put everything in there we needed. So that made it easier. Washer, dryer, stove, oven, fridge. You have all the things that you would have in a big house, except it's compact, it's tiny. So I love it. I love everything close to me. It's really a recreational vehicle. It has the same hookup as an RV, but it's just a tiny house. And people like, oh my God, you know, you can't park this here. And I'm thinking, it's just an RV. It's just built like a house.
And what's Tony's favorite part of her tiny house?
My tiny bedroom. This is my little bedroom right here with all my storage and pillows and a lot of storage space for books or whatever. Painting, that's Michael Cox right there of Chicago. He painted that for me. Born Vein Art. And I love dark wood. I love all the dark wood that's inside of it. And my barn door on the bathroom. That was something different. I guess that's kind of the tomboyish hippie in me. You know, I wanted a barn door. I don't know why, but I love my barn door. It's beautiful. There's a queen size bed you can put up here and maybe a twin size bed so it can sleep maybe 3 to 4 people upstairs.
Could tiny houses be the solution for homelessness in the community?
I think it's a great idea because you can build a tiny house yourself. You know, you can build a tiny house with just some wood, and it doesn't have to be as big as this one, but you can build a tiny house for a couple $1,000s, you know, and the homeless can help you build it. You don't really need a whole lot to build it. You don't have to get fancy-dancy with it. I'm in love.
Thanks for watching. Visit us online at chundriashow.com. See more interview clips, be a special guest, and find out how you can get tickets to a live show.